The most devastating statistic in child protection is this: 90% of child sexual abuse is committed by someone the child and family already know and trust. Not a stranger, but a coach, a relative, a mentor, a family friend. Every one of the 13 signs in this video is documented in FBI behavioral research and clinical child protection literature. Every one of them is routinely dismissed by parents as something innocent until it is too late. This video does not exist to create fear. It exists to give you the specific evidence-based knowledge that the overwhelming majority of families never receive until after something has already happened. And the first sign starts where most grooming begins today. Number 1. Secretive private digital communication often marks the very first warning sign in modern grooming. A parent might notice an adult in their child's life sending direct messages, texts, or social media chats that are hidden, password protected, or set to disappear after viewing. This could be through apps like Snapchat, WhatsApp, or Instagram's vanish mode. These platforms are specifically designed to erase conversations. According to data from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 66% of grooming investigations now involve at least one private channel between an adult and a child, and 55% of offenders use disappearing message apps to avoid detection. Thorne's 2022 study confirms that these covert digital channels are the most common early tactic, often going unnoticed until the situation escalates. When a parent discovers private, secretive digital contact between their child and an adult, the immediate step is clear. Block and remove the adult from all devices, change passwords, and screenshot any messages before they vanish. This fast action, done in under 30 seconds, can cut off a groomer's access and provide critical evidence if law enforcement needs to get involved. Early intervention here protects children before contact can move offline. In second place, rapid escalation from online contact to an in-person meeting stands out as one of the most urgent warning signs for parents. After secretive digital communication begins, the time it takes for predators to push for an offline encounter is shockingly short. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's cyber tip line, the median interval from first online contact to a planned meeting is just 21 days, with most cases falling from 12 to 34 days. Thorne's 2022 research confirms this narrow window, documenting that many grooming cases move from first message to arranged meeting in under 3 weeks. This means that once private digital contact is discovered, families have only days, not months, to intervene before a predator attempts to meet the child in person. The urgency is real, and delays in action allow trust to deepen and barriers to fall. Immediate steps should include refusing any requests for unsupervised meetings, blocking further contact, and notifying law enforcement or child protection professionals. Acting swiftly at this stage can prevent the rapid progression from digital secrecy to real-world danger. Third on our list, disproportionate or unexplained gifts from an adult to a child often signal a deliberate attempt to build secrecy and obligation. This might look like a coach slipping your child cash, a neighbor gifting expensive electronics, or a family friend providing special treats, especially when these gifts are given privately or without your knowledge. In one national survivor survey, 58% of participants reported receiving secretive gifts or money as part of the grooming process. Darkness to Light and other child safety organizations consistently identify gift-giving as a frequent grooming tool, used to create a sense of indebtedness and deepen the adult's influence over the child. These gifts are rarely about generosity. They are about leverage, making the child feel special but also bound by a secret. When a parent notices an unexplained item or hears about a gift from another source, the recommended response is simple and direct. In front of the adult, if possible, who gave this to you? If the answer is unclear or the adult seems evasive, politely decline or return the gift. This action not only disrupts the secrecy, but also signals to both child and adult that boundaries are being watched. Recognizing and interrupting this pattern early can prevent the next stage, where the offender may push for private, unsupervised time. Number 4. Engineered alone time stands as one of the most telling warning signs in the grooming process. This behavior often looks like a trusted adult persistently inviting your child for one-on-one activities, offering rides home, private tutoring, or extra sports practice, especially when these invitations are made repeatedly or without a clear reason for privacy. According to survivor surveys and practitioner research, nearly 68% of victims recall specific events where an adult worked to isolate them from others. Anna Salter's Handbook for Professionals documents that most offenders use dozens of such isolation tactics, seeking opportunities to be alone with a child so that no other adult is present to observe their behavior. Child Advocacy Center case reviews confirm that these isolation attempts are not accidental. They are carefully planned steps that create openings for further boundary violations. When faced with requests for private time, parents should respond with calm, direct language. Use simple, direct statements. For example, say the following: "We always have another adult present when children spend time together. Please plan activities where others can join." Setting this expectation out loud not only protects your child, it also signals to all adults that your family does not permit unsupervised access. Recognizing and confidently refusing engineered alone time can interrupt the grooming sequence before it reaches the stage of physical boundary testing. Number 5. Boundary testing touch often begins with what looks like harmless physical contact, a hand on the shoulder, a pat on the back, or a playful hug. These gestures are usually framed as friendly or supportive, making them easy to dismiss. Yet clinical research, including Anna Salter's case studies and Child Help's national patterns, reveals that in nearly half of documented grooming sequences, the first physical contact is what clinicians call a safe zone touch. In 63% of cases where this occurs, contact escalates over time, moving from innocuous areas to more intimate or prolonged touch. This progression is rarely accidental. Offenders use these initial touches to test whether a child will resist or disclose, and to gauge the reactions of nearby adults. If a child appears uncomfortable or an adult intervenes, the offender may pull back or shift tactics. For parents, the safest response is immediate and simple. Calmly interrupt any one-on-one physical contact that feels out of place. Restate your family's boundaries out loud and remove your child from the situation. By acting quickly at the first sign of boundary testing touch, parents can disrupt the grooming process before it escalates into psychological desensitization or further harm. Number 6. Progressive desensitization to sexual content often signals a critical turning point in the grooming process. This behavior can appear as an adult telling increasingly sexual jokes, sharing explicit memes, or showing your child movies, images, or social media content with sexual themes, sometimes disguised as humor or just being open. The intent is not accidental. According to Winters and colleagues in 2024, approximately 74% of documented grooming sequences include some form of staged sexual exposure before any direct request for explicit photos or physical contact. This tactic is designed to lower a child's natural discomfort, making sexual talk or behavior seem normal and less alarming. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network identifies this as desensitization, a deliberate process where repeated exposure to sexual material erodes healthy boundaries and increases vulnerability to further abuse. If a parent discovers that an adult is introducing sexual jokes, media, or conversations to their child, the immediate response should be to stop the interaction, delete any inappropriate content, and make it clear that such topics are never appropriate between an adult and a child. Quick, decisive action here can prevent escalation to more explicit exploitation and reasserts your family's boundaries before the situation can worsen. Number 7. Requests for sexualized photos or secret imaging mark a critical escalation in the grooming process. A parent might notice an adult asking a child to send selfies, requesting pictures in specific clothing, or even capturing images of the child without their knowledge. These requests are often framed as jokes, dares, or part of a secret shared only between the adult and the child. Forensic data from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children revealed that 41% of survivors reported being pressured into sending sexualized images or having covert photos taken by a trusted adult. This shift from verbal desensitization to explicit exploitation is a clear violation of boundaries. It is illegal. Act immediately. Preserve evidence and follow these steps. Take screenshots and save any messages or files. Secure the device by not sharing it and do not delete anything. Contact law enforcement or child protection professionals right away. Do not confront the adult before reporting. A quick, documented response not only protects your child, it can provide critical evidence for investigators. Treat any request for photos, no matter how seemingly innocent, as a major red flag that demands urgent intervention. Number 8. Age-inappropriate sexual knowledge is one of the most telling signs that a child has been exposed to harmful sexual behavior by an adult. This does not mean a child using silly slang or repeating something heard on television. Instead, it refers to a child, especially one under 12, using explicit sexual terms, describing adult acts, or showing understanding of sexual concepts that are far beyond their developmental stage. For example, a 7-year-old who casually mentions acts like oral sex, penetration, or uses words such as masturbate in context without prior sex education is displaying knowledge that cannot be explained by normal curiosity or peer talk. Clinical studies published in the Journal of Child Sexual Abuse report that approximately 55% of children with confirmed abuse show premature sexual knowledge, often before any direct disclosure. The American Professional Society on the Abuse of Children urges parents to document such statements verbatim, without probing or leading questions, and to seek a professional forensic interview through a child advocacy center or pediatrician. This is not a time for parental interrogation. It is a moment to quietly record what was said, note the context, and let trained experts take the next steps. When a child's own words reveal knowledge far beyond their years, it is a strong indicator that exposure or abuse has already occurred, and immediate professional support is critical. Number 9. A cluster of multiple warning signs appearing together marks a pivotal escalation in risk. When parents notice 3 or more low-level indicators, such as secretive digital communication, unexplained gifts, engineered alone time, or boundary-testing touch emerging in close succession, the pattern itself becomes a powerful signal. Research from Winters and colleagues in 2024 found that nearly every survivor of child sexual abuse reported experiencing at least one desensitization behavior, with an average of over 14 distinct grooming tactics per person. This means that grooming is rarely a single act. It is a deliberate sequence, with tactics stacking up over days or weeks. Systematic reviews confirm that when multiple signs cluster, the probability of abuse rises sharply, and immediate action is needed. At this stage, the recommended step is to contact your local child advocacy center or pediatrician within 24 to 48 hours for a professional assessment, even if no single sign seemed alarming on its own. Recognizing the cluster as an undeniable pattern, rather than isolated concerns, can be the difference between early intervention and missed danger. When multiple red flags align, urgency is not just justified, it is essential. Number 10. Sudden behavioral and somatic changes in a child often signal that something serious is happening beneath the surface. A parent might notice their child withdrawing from family life, losing interest in activities they once loved, or becoming uncharacteristically aggressive or irritable. Nightmares, bedwetting, difficulty sleeping, or even a return to earlier childhood behaviors like thumb-sucking or clinginess can also appear without any clear explanation. Clinical research from the American Academy of Pediatrics and the National Child Traumatic Stress Network shows that about 48% of children with trauma or abuse histories display marked withdrawal, while approximately 40% experience sleep disturbances such as insomnia or recurring nightmares. These changes are not just phases, they are well-documented responses to stress and trauma, especially when the source is someone the child once trusted. Parents should keep a written record of any sudden shifts in behavior, noting dates, settings, and direct quotes if possible. If these symptoms persist for more than a few days, or if multiple signs appear together, the next step is to contact your child's pediatrician or a local child advocacy center within 48 hours. Early documentation and professional assessment are critical, not only for the child's safety, but also for ensuring that any investigation has the evidence needed to protect them. Recognizing and responding to these behavioral and physical warning signs can interrupt the cycle of manipulation and give children the support they need to heal. Number 11. Attempts to undermine parental authority often emerge when a child begins to show conflict between family expectations and the influence of a particular adult. This behavior may look like an adult dismissing your family's rules, encouraging your child to keep secrets, suggesting they do not need to listen to you, or framing you as too strict or out of touch. The American Professional Society on the Abuse of Children lists this tactic as a recurrent tool in grooming, used to weaken the parent-child bond and increase the adult's control. Anna Salter's practitioner research confirms that undermining parents is a common step as offenders seek to isolate children emotionally, not just physically. When an adult tells a child, "Do not tell your parents," or "Your mom does not need to know about this," it is not a harmless joke. It is a calculated move to erode your authority and silence disclosure. The recommended response is clear and direct. State, "In our family, we do not keep secrets from each other." All adults are expected to respect that. If the adult persists, document the conversation and escalate to your child's pediatrician or a local child advocacy center. Setting this boundary out loud and repeating it as needed protects your child and makes it harder for manipulation to continue in the shadows. Number 12. Defensive or aggressive reactions from an adult, sometimes described as DARVO, signal a critical turning point in the safety of your child. DARVO stands for Deny, Attack, and Reverse Victim and Offender. In practice, when a parent raises a concern or sets a firm boundary, the adult may immediately deny wrongdoing, lash out at the accuser, and then claim to be the true victim of unfair suspicion. Legal and behavioral analyses, including those referenced by the FBI and APSAC, consistently document DARVO as a frequent response in post-allegation situations. Instead of offering reassurance or openness, the adult may become angry, accuse the parent of lying, or say the child is making things up to get them in trouble. This sudden shift, from friendly or ingratiating to hostile or persecuted, should never be ignored. Experts advise parents to disengage from direct confrontation in these moments. Instead, calmly say, "We are not discussing this further right now. I will be documenting our conversation and seeking professional guidance." Immediately, write down the exchange, save any relevant messages, and contact a child advocacy center or law enforcement if you feel unsafe. DARVO is not just a defensive maneuver. It is a warning that the situation has escalated and urgent protective steps are needed. And finally, in first place, a parent's gut feeling stands as the most universal and powerful warning sign. This is the quiet, persistent sense that something is wrong, even when no single behavior seems to cross a clear line. It might be a sudden discomfort around a trusted adult, a nagging worry that lingers after a conversation, or an unexplained urge to check in on your child. In a national RAINN survey, 71% of parents whose children disclosed abuse later reported having an uneasy feeling or instinct before any evidence came to light. Salter's 2023 study found that when parents acted on this intuition, 73% later confirmed their concerns were justified. These numbers reveal that parental intuition is not just anxiety. It is often the earliest and most accurate alarm. When this feeling arises, it is critical to take immediate, concrete steps. Remove your child from the adult's presence, document your concerns, and consult a pediatrician or a child advocacy center without delay. Waiting for proof is not necessary. Trusting your instincts, even in the absence of clear evidence, can be the difference between prevention and regret. Your gut feeling is a valid, research-backed reason to act and to protect your child's safety. Across all 13 signs, one pattern stands out. Risk hides in plain sight, woven into everyday behaviors by adults the child knows and trusts. Evidence shows these warning signs rarely appear alone. Clusters almost always point to danger. Recognizing these patterns is not about panic, but about prevention. The knowledge to act early is the strongest protection any parent can give. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and protect what matters most.